fight fans, there is no shortage of drama in the boxing world, especially regarding Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez. So let's get into it, shall we? He was doing an interview, Canelo Alvarez, because they had the press conference with Canelo Alvarez and Jaime Munguia. And of course, he talked to a few people, and he had mentioned that he doesn't feel David Benavidez deserves a shot. That he doesn't feel like David Benavidez doesn't offer him anything except for 25 pounds heavier on the night of the fight. And he also said that he feels that he should get 150 million to 200 million to fight David Benavidez. Oh, where do we start with this, guys? Where do we start? I mean, it's getting very frustrating. For one, to start with the money whole thing, is when the money aspect, I feel like this money thing really is what's killing boxing. This whole money, like I want this much million, and 100 million, 200 million. I want all this kind of millions, and it's very unfortunate because back in the earlier days, the early 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s, we saw the best fight the best, and we didn't see anybody breaking records as far as money goes. And yeah, of course, it's a prize fighting, so you do want to fight for a big prize, and you are putting your life on the line. We all know boxing. When it comes to boxing, you can go in there for your very last time. You could come out and you won't come out the same. It's very possible. But it's just, not even just in boxing world, I feel like in the sports world overall, we hear about these record-breaking numbers, contracts, 450, 400, 500, 600 million dollar contracts for baseball, football, basketball players, etc. And it's really getting annoying, not just to see how much these guys are getting paid to play a game or to do a fight. They're getting paid close to 50 something million dollars for an hour of their time. And it's really, it hurts us as fans because of course we all know ticket prices to go out to these events, to go to the boxing event, to go to the football game, basketball game, baseball game, to buy snacks and all that stuff. All those prices go up because eventually they got to pay for their players, their athletes, their fighters. They got to pay it somehow, and they charge us as fans. So that's what's very frustrating to us to see that happen. Or even the pay-per-view. Like, I remember the pay-per-views used to be like $40, $50. Now they're almost at $80. Pretty soon they're going to be at $100. And for the average working Joe, it's really hard. You want to see the fight, you want to see the pay-per-view and all that stuff, but eventually we are not going to be able to buy it. And of course, there's all these pirate people that are just streaming nonstop and having all these illegal streams. I mean, what do you expect when you're charging ridiculous amounts of money for a fight that maybe will go a couple rounds, or maybe the fight will be extremely boring because, of course, you want to fight for a prize. You want the highest paid fight, but at the same time, you don't want to take any risks. You don't want to get hurt, so you fight very safe. So it's like, what are we buying? What are we buying? And, of course, the games, we all know the games. The games are actually sometimes good. We all know that, the NFL and football and whatnot. And but still, at the end of the day, sometimes you could pay for a boring game and it doesn't go quite as well as you wanted to go. But I'm sure the players and the athletes and the boxers and the MMA fighters or whoever are all very happy because, hey, at the end of the day, guess what? They got paid. So it don't matter to them. It don't matter to them at all. So, but that's what's ridiculous. Like, they shouldn't be getting paid that much. They really, really shouldn't. Maybe $40, $50 million, I can see that. But 100, come on, Canelo. That's just ridiculous to fight one opponent. To really fight one opponent, no, that's just way out of the ballpark to be fighting somebody. So that really, it makes me wonder, like maybe he is trying to go after that Saudi Arabia money, which he could very well get, but it really almost sounds like he's trying to price himself out as well. We all know that that's just not something that's very doable in the States. Outside in Saudi Arabia, quite possibly. And that's where all the fights are going. We all know that's where Tyson Fury and Usyk and Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou, Anthony Joshua. There's a lot of fights going over there to Saudi Arabia because they have ridiculous amounts of money. So it's very possible that Canelo's trying to be that businessman, having that business brain of his, and trying to get that, hint, pay, get that pay over there in Saudi Arabia to fight David Benavidez. So I really hope that, that's the case. He still does want to fight and he's just trying to get paid. But still, if that's one of the reasons, then that's just ridiculous. As far as him not having nothing to offer, as far he has been on pay-per-view against Caleb Plant, which did very well, and it was actually a very fun, exciting fight. Where Jaime Munguia, the only notable opponent that I see on his resume is John Ryder, maybe a few other guys that are on there, so he can't really necessarily use that excuse. Guys, I can't say this enough how big of a fan of Canelo Alvarez I am, and he did say something that is also true, that he doesn't need to fight David Benavidez, that he does have nothing to prove. 100% true. He does not need to prove that he is better, that he is the man, that he's good, or anything like that. 100% true. He does not need to do it because he's always done it, and because there's always going to be somebody else. Let's just say, hypothetically, he did go against David Benavidez, and he beat David Benavidez. Hypothetically. There's probably going to be somebody. They're going to probably say, well, why don't you fight Dimitri Bivol? He wanted to fight you at 168. How come you're not doing that? You know, maybe you'll be the GOAT if you do that. Like, you know, there's always going to be somebody. So I can understand his reasoning for that. But still, in the end of the day, you are still a champion. You still want to defend your belt against all contenders. And you still want to show that you are the best. You don't have to do it in every single fight, and you don't have to try to prove it in every single fight. But you do have some type of, you owe boxing something by giving boxing the best fights possible. And by fighting the best fighters out there. And what David Benavidez earning a shot, you know, building his name up little by little, maybe 3 years ago, 100% no. People were saying, hey, you should fight him. You should fight him. I said no, because at the end of the day, David Benavidez literally had nothing to offer. No titles, no pay-per-view status, no big name status, nothing. But now, he doesn't have a title, but he has building somewhat of a status in pay-per-views, and he also has a big name status. He got a lot of people talking about him. So he has earned that right, outside of anybody else. Because if you really look at the list, there really is nobody else for Canelo to fight. Really, nobody within the super middleweight division that's going to give him a hard time or even draw big pay-per-view attention, and outside of David Benavidez. So that's something that he does. David Benavidez has 100% earned a right to fight Canelo Alvarez. That is my personal opinion. Do I feel like Canelo Alvarez is scared? No. Do I feel like he's ducking him? No. He won against some of the very best fighters out there. Hands down. You can't deny that. You can't deny that. Maybe right now at this career, at this point of his career, he's trying to pick and choose something like a little bit less dangerous, you know, because he's been doing it since he was 15. And he's been fighting a lot of great contenders and a lot of dangerous people out there, you know, since he was 15. So, yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to take it easy, but he still does owe boxing. As long as you are in boxing, you can't just slide through boxing and pick easy opponents for the rest of your career. Unless you're retired, unless you're trying to retire, unless you're trying to go out like, hey, I don't want to fight anybody dangerous and I'm ready to retire. But he says he wants to be in the boxing game for quite some time, and he's still relatively young. So, yes, he should fight David Benavidez next. It will be one hell of a massive pay-per-view draw. I promise you that. Definitely. And David Benavidez has earned that right. Definitely. So, guys, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Canelo Alvarez's comments about David Benavidez? Let me know if you think this fight's ever really going to happen. Let me know in the comments, guys. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.